Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where we recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 17th of November, 2021. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, just wanted to give a quick kind of, friendly warning here. There are a lot of scammers in the crypto ecosystem, right? And they get crafty sometimes. And what scammers have been doing for quite a while now is sending tokens from either kind of like the Uniswap pool or from just random addresses to my ENS, like sassal.eth, my public ENS, and you can see here these tokens are basically scam tokens. You know, they have the Meta token, Shiba Inu token or something, and there's tons of these that get sent to me all the time. And unfortunately, a few people have DM'd me and said that they bought into these tokens because they saw that I bought it on my public wallet. Never do that, guys. Like, please, never, ever, ever buy into things that I buy on my public wallet. I will never invest in things on my public wallet. Like, my public wallet has airdrops that I've gotten, has a bit of ETH in there and some NFTs, but I'm not going to make investments via my public wallet because I know that people watch it and I don't want people kind of copy trading me. So if you see any tokens going to my wallet like this, please, please, please do not buy them, because actually what ends up happening with a lot of these tokens is that they're programmed in such a way where you can't actually sell them. You can only buy. And kind of like what ends up happening is that you buy into it through a decentralized exchange like Uniswap, for example, and then you put your kind of like funds into that liquidity pool, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it gets big enough where the scammers are like, okay, well, time to rug. And the scammers are the only one who can sell, who can kind of like sell or pull the liquidity out of the pool, and then you get stuck holding this thing that you can't move or sell or anything like that. So please, please, please do not ever buy any of these tokens. And it's not just me that they send them to; they send them to a lot of people. So make sure you actually kind of like know what you're buying when you look when you're looking at tokens. Don't just go off what's shown on Etherscan. You know, cross-reference it with CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap. Come in the Discord channel and ask as well, the Daily Gwei Discord channel. Just please do not buy these things because unfortunately it's a very quick way to lose money. And you know, you're doing it voluntarily as well by buying into it. It's not like you're getting hacked or anything. You're literally buying into it and then you can't sell it. And the thing is that depending on which interface you use, it won't actually tell you this. I don't know if Uniswap's official interface tells you this. It should. But like, I hope that more interfaces do this where they basically say, hey, you're about to buy a token that you can't sell. And, you know, so don't do that, obviously, because that's just, you know, it means you're just holding on to something that you can't sell. Now, the funny thing is that there's actually tokens out there that are programmed this way, and they're kind of like quote-unquote legit. Like, they're meant to work that way. They're not a scam, but they're just meant to work that way. So it makes things a bit murkier. But 9 times out of 10, you know, or even more than 9 times out of 10, like 9.9 times out of 10, these things are all scams. And as I said, I will never invest in something via my public address because I don't want to broadcast it to the world, of course. I don't want people copy trading me. So whatever tokens you see going to my wallet, unless it's an airdrop, it's definitely not me sending it to me or me kind of getting it from somewhere or me investing in it. So just wanted to give a kind of like friendly warning there, because I had some people message me saying they followed me into these trades. And like, what do you mean followed me into these trades? I didn't do these trades. I didn't buy this stuff. so yeah, just a warning there. But anyway, on to more positive news. The Ethereum Foundation announced yesterday that they are donating $1 million to public goods, not just public goods in Ethereum, but public goods more generally. So they've donated some money to Coincenter, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which fights for kind of like online privacy and online liberties and things like that, and Fight for the Future as well, which is part of that, and Gitcoin as well, as part of a matching round. So really, really awesome to see this. Maybe this is a bit of the money that they got from dumping that 20,000 ETH on us, right, guys? I mean, the market's been a bit weak today as well, so maybe they dumped on us so they could go give to public goods. And you know what? I don't mind if they did that. Like, we need more public goods funding and more non-profit funding out there. So I'm really happy to see this. I mean, Coincenter and the EFF and Fight for the Future, definitely amazing organizations. But of course, Gitcoin is amazing as well. So Gitcoin is getting $500,000, and those other 3 organizations are getting $500,000 split between them. So this is going to be part of the Gitcoin matching pool for their upcoming advocacy round. So I think this may be separate to, I think actually no, that's something different. I think this may be separate to the normal matching rounds, and it might just kind of like be a separate category altogether called an advocacy round. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. But yeah, that's a lot of money, $500,000. Hopefully going to some great public goods there. So yeah, very, very positive news. Glad to see this. And, you know, the Ethereum Foundation doesn't only kind of do one-off things like this. I've reported on it before, but the EF ecosystem support program, the Ethereum Foundation ecosystem support program, recently gave like $8 million to a bunch of projects. And that's all kind of like money they're giving away. It's not to pay teams or whatever. It's literally donating it and giving it to these projects as grants. So you can see why the Ethereum Foundation actually needs to sell the ETH that they have to cover these costs. Not only do they have these costs that come up once a quarter, say they're giving like $30-40 million throughout the year to these things, but they also have a lot of employees, a lot of the core developers, researchers, people doing other stuff, people organizing conferences, all that sort of stuff, right? They have all of that, and they need to fund it. So, when you see the Ethereum Foundation selling ETH, they're not bearish on ETH. They actually need to fund their operations, and they're doing good treasury management as well. They're acutely aware of bear markets. A lot of you may not know this, but in the early days, what ended up happening when Ethereum first got off the ground, they raised, did an ICO, they raised, I think, $30 million or something like that, or maybe less than that, in Bitcoin, right? It wasn't in dollars, and there wasn't stable coins around back then. I think there was Tether, which was dodgy. I mean, it's still dodgy, I guess, today by some people's standards, but it was like a way smaller back then and way dodgier. And there was some other experiments that weren't really stable coins. So they kept it in Bitcoin. And then after they raised that money, Bitcoin actually went down a lot in value. I think it halved. So essentially the money that they had raised is basically halved, and they were on like a shoestring budget. So they had to spin out a few teams, like Parity spun out of them. And there was also kind of like a few other people that spun out, like Consensus with Joe Lubin, stuff like that. And then obviously the ETH price during 2016 went up a lot. Then the DAO stuff happened. ETH price went down again to like $6. The Ethereum Foundation was selling ETH during this period because they needed to kind of like cover their costs. And then we had the massive 2017 run, and the Ethereum Foundation sold again at end of 2017, I think around $1,000 if the timing matches up correctly. And I think they may have sold like $100 million or something worth of ETH, which is really good because that got them to the bear market, right? That allowed them to continue building through the brutal 2018 and 2019 bear market. And these days, I feel like they're just much more acutely aware of kind of like how quickly things can turn. I'm not saying we're going to a bear market, but the thing is, if you've been around this ecosystem long enough, you kind of have like this PTSD about it, and you're kind of like play more defensively than someone who's newer to the ecosystem. Like personally, I play very defensively these days. Like my degen days are over, guys, like totally over. But newer people to the ecosystem, they don't have that baggage behind them. So, it's a kind of different mindset. But for those of us who have been here a long time, we definitely kind of like play defensively. And I actually appreciate the Ethereum Foundation doing this because they, it's not like they can sell more ETH again, right? They can't just do a sale for ETH. They can't just do a new ICO. Can't just issue more tokens. They could, the Ethereum Foundation is a non-profit as well. They, maybe they could get people donating to them, but not going to go out there and raise money. Whereas, things that spun out of them like Consensus and stuff like that, with Joe Lubin, they can actually raise money because it's a for-profit venture and things like that. So yeah, still cool to see all that. And I guess like I spoke about the FUD around like the EF selling ETH the other day. I'm not going to go into that too deeply, but that provides some context as to why not just the Ethereum Foundation, but all kind of like projects should be selling off their native token during kind of like bull markets to get like a cash position, because if they don't, they end up getting stuck holding that token, and a lot of these tokens will go down 90%, and a lot of them already are down 90%, even though we're still in a bull market. A lot of them will go down 90% at least in a prolonged bearish period, at least, because no one wants to hold them. Like, why would you hold these things that are purely speculative assets, like got no fundamental value behind them, because they're very early stage, they're incredibly risky to hold. So I think this is just like prudent treasury management. Not to say that ETH falls into that category, but the Ethereum Foundation has costs, needs to cover them, so that's what happens there. But anyway, glad to see them also donating to non-profits and more public good stuff here. Always a big advocate of that. So a massive announcement out of Polygon yesterday. This came out just after I did the refuel. It was a bit disappointing because I was like, I got to wait 24 hours to talk about this. But as you guys know, I'm an advisor to Polygon, and I mentioned yesterday how they had an announcement coming up. Well, this was the announcement. And I didn't actually know about this before it got announced. It was a surprise to me, and I was like, wow, okay, this blew away my expectations. So what they've announced is something called Polygon Miden, or Miden. I think it's Miden. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Which is an upcoming Stark-based EVM-compatible rollup. This is not, I wouldn't say it's like a competitor for StarkWare in that, like, it's in the bad sense, but it's definitely a new kind of like EVM compatible rollup based on Starks. Now, The other ones out there aren't based on Starks. There's different cryptographic primitives that are being created, but I'm pretty sure this is only the second team tackling the Starks kind of like stuff. There's obviously StarkWare and now Polygon, and I would like to see a third entrant. I don't like seeing monopolies. Like, I actually hate monopolies, no matter what it is, because what ends up happening is if you have a monopoly and there's only one company doing the thing or one project doing the thing, they tend to kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Tend to kind of like centralize power, within them. And by doing so, they kind of like, it leads to less innovation over time, leads to less healthy competition, less growth, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm really, really glad to see Polygon do this. Now, the person who will be leading this project is, his name is Bobbin Threadbare. He was actually leading Facebook's zk program. So he was the former lead zk researcher at Facebook who led development of Winterfell, which was something that I covered on the Refuel a few months ago at this stage. I can't remember exactly what it was. It had something to do with Starks, obviously. Winterfell was a highly performant Stark prover, and so yeah, they've basically got a Bobbin to join on board here to produce a fully open source Stark-based EVM compatible rollup called Polygon Miden. Now, I keep telling you guys, Polygon is so much more than the POS chain. Look at this ecosystem right here. You got like the Polygon SDK, you got Hermes, you got Veil, POS, Miden, and Nightfall, of course. And now they have like two zk efforts, Hermes and Miden. They may be having more coming soon, I don't know, but like I wouldn't be surprised. They have Nightfall, which is like a hybrid zk optimistic rollup effort. They have the Polygon POS chain, which is a short to medium term EVM sidechain to just get us over to that hump of getting to these fully performance kind of like rollups. They got the data availability blockchain and the SDK for developers. And of course, they got Hermes as well, which is another zk effort on their front. So they've just covering everything. They are the powerhouse of Ethereum scalability, and I couldn't be more proud to be an advisor to them, honestly. Like, I know there was some drama, over the last few months about Polygon, and I just was like, this is just so unfair. These guys are killing it. They're doing so much good for the Ethereum ecosystem. They could have easily branched off and built an Ethereum competitor, but they didn't, right? They've been building Ethereum scaling technology for a long time, and they just keep, killing it with these releases. And that's exactly why I keep, I'm still an advisor to them. I joined as an advisor to them, and I'm proud to support them. But anyway, you can learn more about Polygon Miden by going and reading this thread, going to the GitHub, checking it all out. Everything like that. It's not obviously in production yet. It is not something that, everyday users can use just yet, but it will be, hopefully soon. I actually think 2022 is going to be the year of ZK. We're going to see so much kind of ZK stuff come out in 2022, both to mainnet and to testnet, and also lots of research breakthroughs. I mean, if we're only at the starting line for layer 2s, we are like in the kind of locker room for ZK stuff, where there's so much left to do here, and that's so exciting because it means we haven't even scratched the surface of what's possible with this technology, and it's just going to be exponential from here. We are truly in the exponential age, not just in terms of kind of like, I think, wealth creation in tech, but also in the tech itself. Like, I know the gas fees are high now on Ethereum layer 1. I know Ethereum is painful to use, but we have these layer 2s live today that you can use, and they're only going to keep getting better over time. And this is exactly why I keep saying to all of you that the future is just so bright. And if you're going to wait around, if you're going to leave the ecosystem and come back in 5 years and wait for everything to be sorted out, you're going to miss out on everything. Like, imagine being able to invest, in kind of like the early tech companies right after the .com boom kind of like happened and the crash happened, let's say mid-2000s. Imagine being able to invest in Microsoft, in Google, in Apple, in all of those companies. Like Tesla, I think Tesla came a little bit later, 2007 or something. Imagine being able to invest in all of those and basically saying, no, I don't want to because the tech isn't there yet. This is hard to use. I don't see the use of it. There's not many people using it yet. It's expensive for whatever other reason. I'm not going to invest in it. I'll come back in 10 years. Well, you come back in 10 years and it's 2015. These companies have gone parabolic. Their growth has gone parabolic, and they were the best investments of the last 20 years. Why would you do that? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. That's exactly what would happen right now if you said, I'm going to come back in 5 to 10 years. I mean, probably even just 5 years because crypto moves so much faster. Don't do that. Please do not leave the ecosystem. Even if we go into a prolonged bear market period eventually, please don't leave, because it is the biggest regret you'll ever have, leaving the ecosystem. Trust me on it. Like, my biggest regret was leaving the crypto ecosystem in 2014 and then only returning in early 2017, missing Ethereum's early days. And I've been trying to make up for that ever since. I don't regret it anymore. I got over it, of course. But the worst thing you can do is leave the ecosystem because you think the tech isn't ready. The tech isn't ready because you're early, and being early means opportunity. So definitely stick around for it. Anyway, that's a little bit of a kind of a rant there. But yeah, I hope you kind of like heed that warning, and essentially kind of make the most of the time that you have being early, because it's not going to last forever, guys. And speaking of zk Stark technology, StarkWare announced their Series C raise. So they raised $50 million at a $2 billion valuation, led by Sequoia, which is a very, very successful and popular Web 2, I guess, traditional tech investor, alongside A16Z. I guess like Sequoia and A16Z, they're like some of the top firms. They also had a bunch of other people that they raised from. I'm not sure if, I think it was in the Block article that I read. Yeah, you can see here. If I go to the Block, we'll be able to see the exact investors here. This is something that I actually wanted to talk about, which is a little bit disappointing to see. So I know I spoke about yesterday how zkSync raised from like a bunch of ecosystem participants, strategic partners, community members, and some funds, of course, for their Series B round. But what StarkWare's done here is they've raised from Sequoia, which is fine, but then and Paradigm, which is of course fine. But then they've got like a bunch of investors in here that I kind of like scratch my head about, especially, oops, sorry, there's an ad there, especially Alameda Research, who, for those who don't know, this is SBF's company. SBF, the co-founder or the founder and CEO of FTX, the person who is all in on the Solana ecosystem. So why are we giving, or why are projects giving Alameda Research or SBF or FTX access to their investment deals, I should say, when they're competitors? I don't get this logic at all. And the thing is, though, the only way it makes sense is if StarkWare plans to actually not just be on Ethereum, right? They plan to do rollups on everything else, and maybe even Solana, for example. And I think they will do that. And that's fine. They can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I would have liked to have seen, their funding rounds have all been the same. They've been very kind of like VC heavy, very closed off, and I've been critical of other projects for this in the past, especially the base layer projects, the layer ones. I'm generally very critical of this, and of course I participate in a lot of these rounds, but I tend to avoid the heavy VC kind of stuff if I can, especially when it comes to like layer 2s and things like that. Now, I know I mentioned yesterday that VCs and kind of like funds and strategic partners, they can add a lot of value, of course, but if you choose them kind of like wisely, I don't know, I just feel like they could have, they did say they invested from a bunch of other people as well, but they didn't name them here. But yeah, I don't know. It just kind of like feels a little bit weird. And when they eventually do a token, they haven't announced it yet, but I'm assuming they will. I'm very curious to see what the distribution looks like, because if they're already valued at $2 billion, this is Ethereum's premier layer 2 kind of like scaling ecosystem. They're alongside all the other top ones like Polygon and Optimism, Arbitrum, zkSync, all that sort of stuff. I'm curious to see what the token would actually open and trade at. I'm going to assume a minimum of $10 billion because you're doing a relative valuation to the layer 1s, because these layer 2s are basically competing with the other layer 1 ecosystems, all the way up to like a 20, 30, 40, $50 billion valuation right out of the gate. It could go from anywhere depending on what the market's doing at the time. Now, if you want to buy in as a regular investor to these networks, it's gonna, the valuation's already going to be so high on these things. So I really do hope they do a nice airdrop for people, and I really do hope the token distribution is fair. I would really hate to see a 50% token distribution to, insiders and team and all that, and then maybe like 30% to the treasury, 10% to like some ecosystem programs, and then 10% for an airdrop or something. I would like to see a much heavier kind of like weighted airdrop, because we don't want these layer 2s owned by VCs like the L1s are. We want them to be as kind of like credibly neutral as possible. But in saying that as well, it's not, look, when I say this sort of stuff, it's not critical for these L2s to be, as kind of credibly neutral and as decentralized as layer 1. That's the whole point, is that the L2 can be malicious, but it's okay because you can always withdraw your funds to L1. I'm most critical of the L1 or the base layer having to be decentralized, like maximally decentralized, because if the foundation is not maximally decentralized, if it is not maximally secure, if it is controlled by a small set of people, well then everything else built on top has no guarantee of anything, right? It basically crumbles. Like if the foundation crumbles, everything built on top goes with it. It's like a building. If the foundation of the building is not solid, the whole building can fall over. It doesn't matter how fancy the floors of the building are, right? You could have the best kind of like building in the world, at everything but the base, but if the base of the foundation is broken, then everything goes with it. That's the same thing for these technologies. So yeah, I mean, I guess like I'm trying not to take a too negative spin on this. StarkWare is obviously doing a lot of amazing work within the Ethereum layer 2 kind of ecosystem. They have StarkNet coming out later this month. They're killing it, right? But as I said before, I'm very glad they have competition from Polygon now, because I don't want just one team monopolizing Stark technology or kind of, you know, ZK rollup, ZK technology, because what ends up happening is if they did that, then we would be at the mercy of kind of like these VCs over the long term, and really Web3 just looks like Web2. And I discussed this on one of the refuels recently, where I basically said, I don't want to see Web3 basically get co-opted by Web2, by the same people that own Web2, and kind of like take it all over and you know, re-centralize everything. That is the nightmare scenario for this ecosystem. But anyway, love negatives kind of spin there, but I saw so many comments about this that I felt like I needed to give my opinion. But great to see this. I don't know if they're going to do another Series D funding round. Maybe. I don't know if they're going to do a token or when they're going to do it. Maybe they do it soon. Who knows? But interesting to see they go to a Series C. As I mentioned before, most crypto projects don't even make it to a Series B. They stop at like a Series A, then they issue their token. But it seems the L2s, I'm actually going to just assume here that the L2s are having money thrown at them like nothing else. And basically, what they're doing is they're like, okay, well, you know, these VCs are throwing so much money at us, let's just take it, and then let's get a high valuation, and then it's just better for us in the long term when they do their you know, inevitable tokens. So I get what they're doing, I can see it, but we'll have to see if they go to a Series D here. Interesting to see that, but yeah, congrats to StarkWare on the raise. So a zkSync integrated with another partner today, blockchain.com. I mean, if you've been around in crypto for a while, you know blockchain.com. They've been big for a while now. So really, really great to see that. I wonder what this is going to be. I think, you know, blockchain.com's ventures firm, I should say, invested in zkSync, of course, in their latest round, and I explained all this yesterday. But I'm interested to see kind of like what this integration looks like. Will it be a onboarding and offboarding with fiat? Will it be kind of like a wallet, kind of like integration, something like that? I'm sure there will be lots of stuff going on there, but really, really cool to see this. I'm going to get through the rest of this stuff maybe relatively quickly. I didn't realize how the time. It's already at 21 minutes. So Little Cohen resubmitted his proposal for Uniswap to incentivize liquidity mining on L2. So it's live on Snapshot at the moment. You can go to the link here to check it out. Obviously, I mentioned last time this got rejected because there was, I think, one whale voter who basically rejected it because they thought liquidity mining wasn't healthy. Which, I mean, I went through it last time. I think they were short-sighted here. I think liquidity mining is extremely healthy when done right. And by done right, I mean when incentivizing to move liquidity to a new ecosystem, such as an L2. Because essentially what you're doing is you're kind of like bootstrapping that growth, fixing the chicken and egg problem, and getting people on there. So I'm curious to see if this passes. I hope so. I think Little Cohen has like backing from some big Uniswap delegates for this one as well. So I'm hoping to see this pass, and then hoping to see liquidity mining or uni kind of token rewards on Arbitrum and Optimism. That'd be really awesome. I reckon we get so much more kind of capital in there and so many more people playing around with it, and it really kind of like kickstart that flywheel effect for these L2s such as Arbitrum and Optimism. So Nick Johnson from ENS shared this, I guess, like DAO proposal today, or ENS proposal today, that was that says the DAO is considering whether to send additional tokens to users that missed out on the 2x multiplier on the ENS airdrop because the account with a primary name was not the account that owned the name. So you can check out the kind of like discussion here on the ENS governance forum, and if this would apply to you and kind of like how this is all going about it. I'm pretty cool with this. I think like making sure that people are whole and made whole if they did everything correctly and they missed out on the airdrop is always a good way to do it. So apparently just under 2,000 accounts missed out on this, which equates to about 213,000 tokens. It's not too many tokens in the grand scheme of things. I mean, the total token supply is 100 million, so that is a very low percentage of the token. So it's not going to cause, you know, any kind of like any stress for anyone there, but it will give these kind of like accounts the ENS that they're owed. So yeah, definitely go check this out if you're interested. Rainbow's mobile wallet, they're teasing a NFT integration here. So you can see they've got a bunch of kind of like cool graphics here showing NFTs and being able to view your NFT, being able to view its last sale price, the floor for the collection, being able to showcase it and share it. This is really cool. I mean, as I said before, I think the wallet that does NFT integrations right, along with DeFi integrations, is going to be the one that onboards the masses. And Rainbow is definitely one of my favorite mobile wallets. I definitely am very partial to Argent as well, and there's a few others out there two that I've used in the past. But I've mentioned before, I'm not a huge mobile wallet user because I'm just on my computer all the time. I don't feel the need to use my mobile wallet. But you know, with Wallet Connect, you can actually just like have your mobile wallet do things on your desktop, right? Which is really cool. So yeah, cool to see this teaser from Rainbow here. A big proposal that came out today from the Fei Protocol and Rari Capital communities was a token merger proposal. So this would merge the Rari Capital kind of project and the RGT token into Fei Protocol. Now, disclosure here, I'm an investor, a seed investor, or Series A investor, sorry, I should say, in Fei Protocol. But the reason I wanted to briefly talk about this was because I think we're going to see many more token mergers as time goes on. Because if you have a project that synergizes really well with another project, it probably makes a lot more sense to, instead of going at it separately, combine together and you combine all your products together and kind of like make the communities one so you can do more and go further. And that's exactly what is proposed here. This hasn't happened yet. This isn't even a sure thing. This is just a proposal that exists on the governance forums for both Rari Capital and Fei Protocol. But essentially what this would do would be to merge Rari's products into Fei because Fei has been a big kind of contributor to the Rari project, has done a lot with their fuse pools and stuff like that, and basically work to create a perfectly symbiotic relationship between the two projects under one token umbrella, which is the Tribe token. So yeah, I mean, you can check out Joey, who's the founder of Fei Protocol's thread here. To link to the YouTube description. You can also check out Jay's, who is the founder of Rari Capital, his Twitter thread here as well. I definitely recommend giving both a read, checking out the governance post, checking out all the comments, because this is governance in action at the end of the day. This is a really cool way to kind of like see something that is a major change for both protocols playing out. It's actually probably more of a major change for Rari because they're the ones that are giving up their token and kind of like merging it into Tribe, and basically still going to have their autonomy, still going to have their community. But like, you know, we all know a token kind of is like the best way to forge a community, and if the swap is done right and like people get the same amount of Tribe as they have RGT in terms of dollar for dollar value, it makes a lot of sense. So I like it. I liked kind of like reading what they're trying to do. I agree with what they're trying to do. I think it would make both teams stronger. And there was a bit of a meme that was saying like, is this DeFi 3.0? Maybe it is. Maybe people are going to meme this and market this and be like, hey, like you guys are still in DeFi 2.0 land. We now have DeFi 3.0. I'm sure people are going to talk about this and meme this. I mean, they always do. But yeah, interesting proposals. Definitely go check these out. So Nifty Island, they've been quiet a bit recently, but they put out a teaser of an early look at their build system. So just a quick reminder here, Nifty Island is trying to be like a home in the metaverse for people where you can have your own island, you can build on it like a Minecraft style building thing, you can have your own NFTs on there and everything, of course, and it'd be true kind of like metaverse native. Now, this is a project that I've been excited about since basically day one. I mean, I know that I brought it up on the Refuel, and a lot of you kind of like discovered this project because of me, which is awesome. Like I love it when that happens. But basically this, yeah, as I say, just like an early look. You can see from the video here. I guess I'll just play the video kind of from the start here. You can see in the video, early look at the building ecosystem. It seems like it's very far along right now, which is really cool. I mean, for those of you who have played Minecraft and maybe even Animal Crossing, you'll know like how these building systems go and how kind of like cool and versatile they can be. I'm very much looking forward to this because actually the one thing that I was thinking about today that has always annoyed me about video games and collecting things in video games is the lack of permanence. Because in World of Warcraft, for example, I used to collect a lot of things. I used to do a lot of the achievements. I used to collect a lot of the mounts, which is these things you ride on to get around, and they're, you know, all different mounts, the mini pets that you get that can follow you around. And then there's other collectibles as well. I used to collect it all because I really enjoyed it. But always in the back of my head, I had this nagging feeling of this isn't permanent. Like there's no permanence here. Like if Blizzard was to, the developers of WoW, was to shut WoW down and shut the servers down, that's all gone. I have no claim to that. I have no control over that. There's nothing I can do in that kind of like arena. And, you know, they can change things. They can reintroduce items and get rid of the rarity of some. I remember they actually reintroduced a mount once. They just slightly changed the color on it so it wasn't like the original because you couldn't get the original anymore, and it kind of pissed a lot of people off where they were like, well, what's my original kind of worth now? You couldn't trade the items either, but like it was all about flex, right? And kind of like online social capital. But like for me, it was always the permanence thing. Whereas within the metaverse, when you have NFTs stored on a permanent kind of like settlement layer, permanent ledger, like Ethereum and like these kind of like Arweave or IPFS or Filecoin and things like that, you have true permanence. And especially when the games themselves, the game files are open source. So anyone can host the game. Anyone can live in these kind of like ecosystems. Anyone can do what they want. And then you have like provable rarity for these things as well. So, I mean, we're still early days and all this sort of stuff, but that's what gets me the most excited is that we're finally going to be able to have permanence in things instead of kind of like always having that nagging feeling at the back of our mind that we could get rugged at any moment, right? And things could get changed at any moment. So really cool to see this. It's a major reason why I'm excited about projects like Nifty Island. All right, finally here, an announcement from Milwaukee. So if you're going to ETH Denver, which I hope a lot of you are, because I'm definitely going. I haven't booked my tickets yet, but like I'm 99.99% going. If you're going to ETH Denver, there's actually going to be a one-day I guess conference or one-day kind of like a celebration, as Milwaukee is calling it here, called Shelling Point on the 17th of February, which is, as I said, one day before ETH Denver. That is going to celebrate mechanism design, coordination, public goods, culture, and regenerative finance. There's a lot of great talks already lined up from a lot of great speakers. You can see here already David Hoffman, Austin Griffith, Vitalik, of course. And then obviously following this event will be ETH Denver. So I'm hoping to see as many of you there as possible. As I've mentioned before, this will be my first conference since February 2020, before the COVID pandemic, and that ETH Denver was my last conference back then too. So yeah, very much looking forward to this. Hope to see you all there. But I think that's it for today. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give that video a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks everyone.